But I had another dream of Obama becoming the Antichrist. And I was standing with him, and he told me, he like whispered to me, he said, you know, I'm the lone wolf, right? And I said, you're not just a lone wolf. I said something like, these might not have been my exact words, but I said something like, you're also the lawless one and the Antichrist or something like that, you know. I couldn't tell if this filled him with pride or if it made him angry, or maybe both. But he like raised himself up, and then he raised his fists into the air, and then he started to come against God. And so I did the opposite. I dropped to my knees and submitted to God, and you know, I'm like praying to God, and I say something to Obama like, you're gonna cause Satan to come into you. And then I see him start to turn red and start to turn into Satan. And not that Satan's red, but you know, like symbolically. And I knew that Satan had gone into him. And then once Satan was in him, he just looked around with total hatred, and he wanted to hurt me. He wanted to kill me.
I don't know why Obama was in my dream. The president. And out of nowhere, everybody was like, the president is here. And I was like, why is the president? Why is the president here? What is he doing here? That's what I was saying in the back of my head. Like, what is he doing here? So he was there, and he was like, we all can go now. We all can leave out of this safe, you know, out of here. And we was like, leave? Why would we leave? It's not safe out through, you know, out these gates. We shouldn't go anywhere. We should stay where we're safe. And the president was convincing everybody that we should, you know, open the gates, cut up all the ropes. We were all there helping out. Everybody was trying to unlock the gate because Obama told us to unlock the gate. So we trust him. And the minute I opened that gate, something flew right in the house, like flew right into in our facility. And I was like, what was that? And as it came by, it smelled like, ooh, like the smell was awful. Like, whoa, what it smelled like, ugh. In my ear, a voice whisper in my ear and says, the Antichrist is here. That thing that we let in was the damn Antichrist. We let the Antichrist in. And as it was walking by, everything, every animal, the birds, everything dropped. Like, it just brought death with it. Death came and followed this damn thing everywhere. It was the most, I've never felt such hate, so much evil and anger, and it was just all in that thing that came in the facility.
We're in like this kind of like open cinema type place, and Obama was at the front, and he was giving a talk, as he does, like, you know, and he was laughing and joking and smiling with everybody there. There was thousands of people there, and you know, he was giving this talk, and then people were trusting him. They really trusted him. And the words, a wolf in sheep clothing, was displayed to me very clearly in my dream. A wolf in sheep's clothing. So overnight we was aware of some sort of huge disaster was happening or something, and we all went back in the next day, and they were letting the doors open again. I don't know why I was there. I didn't really want to be there, but I was there, and they let me in, and they had changed the setting of this cinema. They had taken all the seats out and everything, and everything had changed. And as we walked in, the floor was very sticky, like, you know, every time you trod on it, it was like you were stuck to the floor. And then I saw the words go over, New World Order, and what I knew by that in the dream is it meant the whole world system as we knew it before had now collapsed and completely changed, and we were now in a new world order. And we all stood in there, and Obama, from this smiley man, turned around and said, worship me, worship me. And many people were like deceived by his words, and there were others that were shocked that he'd suddenly changed. You know, it was a trap. And the floor being sticky, you couldn't get out of that situation very well. And so we were all standing there, and he had guards walking around with weapons. You know, guards like military people, army people with rifles and stuff. And they were walking back and forwards around this camp, and he had helicopters in the sky. Heavy, heavy security.
So as people were laughing at some joke that was said, I was like, I'm the strongest man in this room. And Obama snapped. Like, his happy face in a split of a second was mean, scornful, beastly. It was like, ha ha ha. Like, it was like mean and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. You got a problem with that? And I was just joking. And yeah, his face just turned. It was kind of scary because I've never seen someone's facial expressions and their muscles go from like to like it was something.
Obama comes to the base that I was stationed on, to address the military people. But me and my friend, we were by this big pillar outside of the auditorium where he was addressing the other military people. And he came out of nowhere. He just appeared and he said, "Hey, can I use your phone?" with this evil, devilish look on his face. I wasn't scared at all. I was irritated because I was talking to my friends, so I was kind of irritated. I turned around, I was like, "What?" He's like, "Let me use your phone." I was like, "Here, whatever." Gave it to him, turned around, and started talking to my homegirl again. And then he's talking or whatever, and it's like the language is like, that, I don't know what, I think it might be Latin. That satanic language that they use in the rituals, that's what he was speaking, like, on the phone. And so I turned to look back at him, and like, you see how like you looking at me right now? As soon as I look back at him, he is on the phone, looking all evil or whatever. And right here, I hope I'm showing it right here, it said Beelzebub, like Beezebub, like a caption right here. I think it was telling me who he was.
I remember I had this vision of a white truck pulling up to my home, and on the van it said Obama's Fishing. And in that vision, I knew that he was coming to get me. Like, I jumped up out of the vision because I was just like, it had frightened me. And my daughter was like, "Mommy, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I explained to her what my vision was about. Then probably about a week or so later, we were out of town, and she came climbing in my bed, and she was crying, and I was like, what's going on? And she was stating that she had a dream about Obama, and we had went to a gas station, and I went inside, I guess, to pay for gas or get something out of the store, and Obama came in, and she said he had a gun, and she was trying to get me. She's like, "Mommy," she came in, she said she came into the store, she's like, "Mommy, we gotta go because Obama, he's here, he has a gun." So we had left, and we went to a home that we had, and Obama ended up coming to the home, and he ended up killing me.
President Obama was sitting right in the middle of the stage, simply sitting there, kind of eerily sitting there, simple chair, sitting out facing the camera that was not rolling yet. And I got this feeling like he could be shot so easily. Like they're setting him up to be shot is what it felt like. And I was over here and I had to walk by him and go down this hallway behind him. I heard him counting down backwards. So as I got close to him, I heard 6, 5, 4, 3, and at about 2 and 1, he had turned his body to me and he had grasped me with a very swift movement. And then before I knew it, I had a gun to my head and I was in a hostage position.
So in the dream, I'm standing on the right side of a stage and I'm looking at Obama, and he's got there's a giant bust of him, like a bust is basically a statue, a sculpture from the neck, from the shoulders up. And I mean, the thing is at least 10, 15 feet tall, maybe 20. And he kisses it on the face like he's worshiping himself or something. And then he turns towards me, to walk off the stage, and I can see that he's dressed as like a sultan. The best comparison I can come up with is Jafar from Aladdin, and he had the hat, and he looked very angry. But immediately I noticed on his right hip he had a golden sword that looked like a scimitar, something that you'd expect to see Muslims executing people with.
The stage was ready for the Antichrist, and the Antichrist, which was the beast that I saw in my dream, he was getting ready. He was putting on his coat, he was putting on his crown, and the last thing he grabbed was his stick. And that he had a golden throne too. He had a golden throne, and the last thing he did, he sat on his throne with his stick. I believe that that was a dream from the Lord, and the Antichrist is ready to rule. And in my dream, I was thinking that it was Trump. That's what I was thinking in my dream. But when I woke up, I had in my heart that it was Obama. And I just kept thinking Obama, and that Obama is coming back. That's what I believe. I believe that with all my heart.
What I remember is the Oval Office area, or one of those office areas. The Oval Office was turning gold. Obama was sitting in the chair, and the chair was turned. All I could see was the back of the chair. And the chair was brown or burgundy. That's all I remember. And then the walls were turning gold. The curtains were turning gold. And then the dome on top of the White House was turning gold. And the buildings, he was turning the buildings gold somehow. And he turned around slowly in his chair and kind of had that evil smile-ish smirk on his face. Either he wants to be king or he's gonna be king.
I remember being down like in a bunker, and how I knew it was a bunker because there were stairs leading up to daylight. And when I looked up the stairs, I saw Michelle and one of the daughters standing there, but there was also Obama in the room. And what was strange about Obama was that he didn't have on a shirt. He had on pants, but he had inscriptions carved in his body from his neck all the way to the waistband of his pants. And it looked like ancient symbols. They weren't tattoos. They weren't any ink or anything. It was his actual skin. And what was really disturbing about the dream is that all of a sudden, like a magnetic field started pulling me towards him. And mind you, his back was to me. It was as if he didn't even know I was there. And I was being pulled towards Obama, and both my hands were up as if you would, like when the police put you on the wall and they tell you put your hands up, and my hands were up like that. And like the worst thing to me happened that could ever happen, and I bowed down and I kissed his body. This was so devastating to me because, number one, what am I doing dreaming about a United States president? I never had a dream about a president a day in my life. I didn't care to have a dream about him. I wasn't listening to any news about him. It was just so clear to me. And the inscriptions that were in his body were like ancient. I'm talking about ancient Egypt. And I remember waking up from this dream being very, very disturbed. I did not understand it. I was very upset because I didn't want to kiss him. I didn't want to bow down to him because I bowed down to him as if he was God.
I dislike him greatly. I pray for him to repent, but I know who he is. But in the dream, the Lord allowed me to be from the perspective of somebody that worships the Antichrist. You know, I was just hanging all over Obama. I was telling him how much I missed him, and I was telling him, when you were president, when you were here, you took such good care of us, and we miss you and we love you. And I mean, it pretty much was worshiping the guy. And the whole time his head was just held real high, real prideful. Like he agreed with me and I better not say anything other than that. And then I looked at him and I said, but now I understand you had to leave, so now you can go do what you need to do. And in the dream I was referring to him revealing himself as the Antichrist and working in league with Satan. And he nodded his head, yes, like, yeah, it's time for me to be revealed. And then he said, I've got to go now. I've got to go, do what I need to do. And then he stood up, and then I stood up, and then my dad stood up. And then he attempted to lead us in a prayer and attempting to appear as a holy man, okay? And he started reciting the Lord's Prayer. And me and my father started reciting it with him, and he made it about halfway through, and then he addressed the Lord, and he said, Father, I know how much you absolutely hate homosexuality. And then he ended the prayer. He didn't even say the whole thing. Michelle Obama is Michael. I don't know if that's really his name, Michael, but it's a man, it's not a woman. He was emphasizing, and because you hate that, Lord, I'm going to make sure to really, really go for it and do that, And Antichrist, everything against God, every single thing that God detests, Satan is.
In the dream, I was standing on a hillside, and I was able to look down into the second story windows and a second story deck of what I considered to be like a fraternity house. The president came out on the back of the deck, the president of the United States. And he announced to the people that were there, I am the Antichrist. And then he hung a banner over the rails on the deck. And on that banner was men's genitalia.
For some reason, my mother called my phone, my house phone, and she was telling me, hey, you know what? You were right. I was like, right about what? She said, oh, Obama's just revealed himself to be the Antichrist.
I had a dream last night. It was an Obama dream, and it was them making everybody receive the mark on their right hand and their foreheads. And most everybody was lining up to receive the mark. It was like the newest thing. It was like the newest thing. The greatest thing this world has ever seen or ever will see, they thought. Then there was those that were awakened by the Word of God and by the preachers. It must have been the two witnesses, I don't know. I know the Bible, what it says.
I remember people being really excited that they got to be baptized by Obama. And I was asking them about it, like how'd it go, what'd he say? And he didn't baptize them in any name. Usually you get baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but he didn't baptize people in any name. So that was kind of odd. And then I was trying to get a hold of him to question him on what he was doing. And I got a hold of somebody in the media, and they connected me to him on the phone. And I remember, confronting him on this, and he was just so rude to me and so arrogant. I'm like, I really don't like this guy. I've never met Obama in person, but Dream Obama is not a nice guy. I knew when I found out that he wasn't baptizing in any name what that meant. Like, I knew it immediately. And it reminded me of the scripture about the Antichrist, which says that he will not honor any God at all. Like, he will exalt himself above everything. And I'm not saying that Obama is the Antichrist. because I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm only human, just like everybody else.
Hey guys, this is Byron once again, here to testify for Jesus Christ. Just completed a dream about Obama and the Antichrist. I want to go over the second dream. In this particular dream, I saw the president holding a tray. It appeared to be like a cookie sheet or something like that, a small rectangular tray, and there was wafers in it. The wafers were brown. It reminded me a little bit of how someone would serve communion, holding a tray in his hand, or maybe take communion. I saw the president reach down and pick up a wafer, and when his hand came back up about 6 inches from that tray, I heard the word Antichrist.
Back in 2008, when Obama was elected, I had a dream that I was walking into a church, and God had said to me, Melissa, the Antichrist spirit has arrived, and you need to warn the people that are in the church. So I went around to each person, and I just kind of whispered in their ear that the Antichrist was here, and I said, you need to leave. And there was quite a few people that listened, and they left the church, got in their cars and left. But then there was a few people that just ignored me and kept on just listening to the pastor. Now, at the beginning of the dream, when I first walked into the church, the pastor had his back towards everyone. So I couldn't see his face. I couldn't see anything. But he looked tall and slender from behind. That's all I could see. So I had gotten through the majority of the people, and I walked up to the front of the church. And as soon as I did that, the minister turned around, and it was Obama. And I heard a voice in my dream, and I really feel like it was the voice of the Lord. But he said, "That's the Antichrist."
And then I looked back, and the person walking behind me was an African man. Not an African American man, not Americanized, but actual person from Africa. I sat down in front of him, and I already knew, I felt exactly what was going on. This person, the spirit that he had inside him, was the spirit of the Antichrist. But it wasn't the, Antichrist. It was the spirit of the Antichrist. Many people will have the spirit of the Antichrist. And this man, his energy and his spirit was Obama. The energy and the spirit was Obama. And I knew that who I was speaking to was Obama's spirit. I pointed at him and I said, "You see that entity, that demon?" And when I pointed to the middle of the room, I was pulling the demon out of him, because the entity started appearing in the middle of the room. And I said, "I know who you are. I know you're Obama. I know who you are." And he said to me, they already decided before Trump got in. Meaning Obama and his people, the elite, have already decided what their plan is, how they're going to counter this.
I had a vision. I saw Donald Trump, and I saw him standing behind a podium. And the Holy Spirit said, many believe that Trump is the Antichrist, namely the world. But he is not, and Obama is right behind him. And then I briefly saw Obama.
Donald Trump and President Barack Obama were looking at all of the protests and the riots that were taking place through this monitor. And I heard Donald Trump tell Obama, "I'm handing the power over to you," or something like, "I can't handle it, you take control." And the Lord woke me up, and what he's telling me was, with these protests that are taking place, Obama had to use Donald Trump to keep these things going, to keep the race riots stirred up, to bring chaos, and that the Antichrist is about to emerge on the scene. Obama is about to step into his new role as the dictator.
The dream I had about Barack Obama, he was standing in front of this big crowd of people signing a piece of paper. When he held it up, I looked closely at it, and at the top I saw it said dictator or dictatorship. He was claiming himself to be the dictator of our country, and our country was now under a dictatorship, under his rule. There was one word on there that was really big. It was in bold, and it said, I'm not sure if I'm saying this the right way, but the word was Haoli. I looked up the word when I woke up, and turns out it's a Hawaiian word, like a racist Hawaiian word against white people. Supposedly Barack Obama spent a lot of his life growing up in Hawaii.
This was immediately after Trump's inauguration, okay? And the music changed. Something happened, and Barack and Michelle Obama turned around with a cape and like some capes on, like superheroes in a way. The world was cheering because they knew they were headed back to the White House.
Obama came back as like a leader. I don't know if he came back as the president of the United States or the world leader. I don't remember that, but he was a leader. And when he came back, this darkness filled the land. And it was just creepy. It didn't feel like the same world, okay?
All right. Daughter, speak this morning and tell the people what I have shown you. The restrainer will be taken away. The man of sin will be revealed for who he really is, the beast. Mr. Obama will return in his new position as ruler. The streets will be filled with violence, civil unrest, and war. The weak will be murdered, unable to defend themselves. Children will murder parents for what they have and take it from them. Your militia will be unable to keep order or gain control. There will be riots and fires. There will be no safe place. The unbelievers will rise to power. Behold, I come quickly.
I want to thank God.